The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle. Daniel Coyle came out with another book called The Culture Code. That was total fire. It was about what makes culture cultural, specifically in corporations, how it works, and how successful companies use it to trailblaze. Is the Talent Code the same? What is the story behind it? Is it actually good? Let's talk about it. In this review, obviously we'll talk about this book. Is it good? What did we learn? Did anything stand out to us? Things I liked, things I wasn't maybe so crazy about. I'm also going to go over some standout quotes, who I recommend this book to, and what books to maybe check out next. Just so you guys know, there are affiliate links in the description, and if you buy anything through those links, like maybe this book, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos for you guys. You can also find them on my Amazon storefront. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam, and I want to make self-growth normal, because people shouldn't have to look this information up. It should just be mainstream knowledge. If you agree, then please make sure to smash that like button. The introduction includes a highly targeted, error-focused process of a girl learning songs quicker and more effectively while what looks like not thinking. I get the feel that the book will focus on skill acquisition. We'll see about that, right? The author said we'll see the rules of this in action by visiting really random sounding list, but he rolls it out in a pretty organized fashion. The world's best soccer players, bank robbers, violinists, fighter pilots, artists, and skateboarders. We will meet a new group of teachers, scientists, and talent researchers who are looking into new ways of acquiring skill. Skills are difficult, sure, but you can gradually get better at them by improving time, speed, and accuracy, honing neural circuitry, and obeying the rules of the Talent Code. Each of the three parts in this book, deep practice, ignition, and master coaching, correspond to the three basic elements of the Talent Code, and each element is useful on its own, but their convergence is the key to creating that skill. Starting with deep practice, chapter 1 is the sweet spot. You learn in this chapter about Brazil and how it produces so many excellent soccer players. Since the 1950s, they found a way to increase their learning velocity. It's called deep practice, and down in Brazil, probably almost none of them realize they're doing it since it's so pervasive and common. We tend to think of our memory as a tape recorder, but that's wrong. It's a living structure, a scaffold of infinite size. The more we generate impulses, encountering and overcoming difficulties, the more scaffolding we build. The more scaffolding we build, the faster we learn. A sweet spot is finding the intersection, though, between what you can do and what you can't. And if you're really interested in getting good at stuff, I'm gonna take a wild guess that made a lot of sense to you. Chapter 2, the deep practice cell. This chapter was about something which seems to be like the magic word of this book, called myelin. Like violin, but myelin. It's not spelled the same nearly. It's not spelled close to the same way. The short of it is myelin is a good thing. And if you want to get good at something fast, you want as much myelin as you can get. You also learn how myelin was ignored in scientific research for so long of skill acquisition. And there's a lot of neuroscience in this chapter that I didn't really understand. I always admit it in these reviews when I hear a lot of stuff like that and I'm like, dude, I just don't get this, honestly. Because what if the entire chapter is just full of it and there's not really anything else I could pick up from it? What else am I gonna say? Lie? I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. It's like 12:30 at night. The simplest explanation I grasp from this is that nerve firings grow myelin, and myelin controls impulse speed, and impulse speed is skill. So at this point, is he saying you have to practice slowly and pay attention to the mistakes you make along the way? I guess. Chapter 3 is the Brontes, the Z-Boys, and the Renaissance. The Bronte sisters are covered here. I'm surprised for some reason that I'd never heard of them. They wrote some of the most loved stories in the English language when they were teenagers, and no one knows why or how that was able to happen. The Z-Boys were a small group of boys from California who turned the world of skateboarding upside down. Chapter 4, the 3 rules of deep practice. There are some phenomenal examples of actual deep practice in the beginning of this. My favorite was the one about, I think it was called jumbling or crumbling. Basically looking at a large process and then breaking it up into very small pieces and analyzing each one piece by piece. What he specifies though is going slow so that you can tend to errors more thoroughly and teach yourself the precision of things. You observe, you judge, you strategize your performance, and you self-regulate along the way. Feel mistakes immediately and then get very bothered by them to the point where you need to fix it. Part 2 is ignition. Chapter 5 is primal cues. The biggest takeaway from this chapter was what the author called hotbeds. Places around the world that consistently pump out like world-class performers. Most of the hotbeds he studied were really like beat down, for lack of a better word. Something I noticed. Also, the narrator in the audiobook, he did an excellent job. I might have seen in like a negative review that people said he talked too fast, but this is For those who know, and YouTube has this too, for anyone who says I'm talking too fast, because I've heard that before. This is why these platforms have the option to slow down listening speed, okay? It should be in the settings. I don't know if it's up here or down here. I don't know where it is. Maybe you do. You probably do. Chapter 6 is the Curacao experiment. I think I pronounced that right. I'm not gonna lie, I listened to this chapter twice and I just did not get all that much out of it. Again, there's a lot of neuroscience and I just didn't get all that much out of it. I feel like a lot of books recently have been doing that for me, where I just get like one chapter that I'm like, Chapter 7 is how to ignite a hotbed. The story of Kip, the Knowledge is Power program. Oh my gosh, not the Kip. It almost sounded like the development of a forced, disciplined hotbed. I don't know what to think of it. I really don't, because, you know, you have a good intention, it's unique, and it's a school with no desks, because desks are earned when students act like KIPP students. Every grade is referred to as the class of whatever year that grade is scheduled to graduate college. By the way, this is like an elementary school. Some outsiders call it the Kids in Prison program because it almost sounds kind of cultish. It does, however, create new and really just unseen patterns of motivation and behavior in these kids. When you listen to what the author says repeatedly, different variants of it sounds kind of crazy or over the top, but what's ridiculous to me is how seriously they take college attendance alone. I mean, as soon as these kids enroll in the school, they literally start visiting colleges, like elementary school age. And the attendance of college becomes the sole obsession of the school. It's in every single class. By the time these kids are like somewhere between 7 and 10 years old, they are already heavily and stubbornly set on what colleges they want to go to. And part 3 is master coaching. Chapter 8 is the Talent Whisperer. Master coaches are the human delivery system for the signals that fuel and direct the growth of a skill circuit. Beautiful, beautiful definition right there. Telling with great clarity to fire here and not here. Many of the best coaches are in their like 60s and 70s because their ages just don't consist of decades of mastering a skill, but also mastering the skill of teaching that skill. I love in this whole part of the book how he centered the whole thing around just coaching. He was really focused with it. Chapter 9 is the teaching circuit, a blueprint. So the structure of the book is just, I mean, I love Daniel Coyle's work, I do, and he is a genius, but the actual structure of the book truly stands out. He goes over the uncanny acquisition of skills, the environments in which it takes place, and how those environments come to be, and then the natures, techniques, and blueprints of those at the top of these environments who bring them together. And chapter 10 is kind of a weird name for the last chapter in the book, Tom Martinez and the $60 million bet. This chapter was about Tom Martinez, a guy who is to Tom Brady what Tim Grover was to Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. For those who are not familiar with Tim Grover, he kind of brought us Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Pretty simplistic explanation there. Tim Grover is also now a kick-ass self-help author, mind you, but Tom Martinez brought on a guy named Jamarcus Russell, who eventually played for the Raiders. Unfortunately, later on, Tom Martinez said that the Raiders ruined Russell, and later on, Martinez died. I don't really remember what the moral of the story was there, but the actual talent code is ignition plus master coaching plus deep practice equals talent. Myelin, guys, it's sneaky. It's boring. It's very boring. It feels unproductive sometimes. You cannot take it, you cannot sell it, and you cannot buy it. It is an honest profession. It's really not well studied, and it will not be well studied for some time, but when you really get it, other people will see it. I get the feeling, just reviewing this, that Coyle noticed a lot about himself and life as we know it while putting this book together. I cannot say that I didn't get an experience like this while listening to the audio version, which I am so happy to say, but I can say that Mile enjoyed it. Quotes. Here I am with the dad jokes. Myelin doesn't care about who you are. It cares about what you do. Teens understand right and wrong, but it takes time for them to figure it out. Thinking that talent comes from genes and environment is like thinking that cookies come from sugar, flour, and butter. If I skip practice for 1 day, I notice. If I skip practice for 2 days, my wife notices. If I skip for 3 days, the world notices. When something goes wrong, ask why 5 times. Direction 1. I recommend this book for someone who really wants to immerse themselves in a skill, especially the first part of it. Direction 2. If you like this book, I recommend checking out Ultra Learning by Scott Young and a little bit of a curveball here, Range by David Epstein. The Talent Code by Daniel Coyle, there's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video if you want to check those out too. If there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed, then you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos. That would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.